I recently turned 21, an exciting time for a lot of American children, but to me, it was like any other birthday, except for one thing. I really missed home. I moved to the United States when I was 8. As the complexities of my immigration process are all but clear, I do remember one thing. Moving to the United States meant guaranteed opportunities, equality, and freedom that I was not guaranteed in my home country, Venezuela. Like many immigrant children that come to the United States, I was excited about the countless new opportunities I will be given. For me, well, as an 8-year-old, it was more than the 20 different flavors of Ben & Jerry's ice cream, something that to this day, I'm extremely grateful for. But as I began to immerse myself in the American culture and lifestyle, I came to realize that the immigrant rhetoric that we are given fell short of the true hardships that immigrants and minority individuals face in this country. At the age of 8, I began the 2nd grade. Like a lot of American children, I started at elementary school at my local public school. Now, it might seem easier said than done, but due to the academic difference between Venezuela and the United States, I was put a year ahead of what I would have been in Venezuela, in a country where I knew nobody and totally did not know the language. Now, the week leading up to that first day of school was exciting. My mom and I went backpack shopping, and like a true Venezuelan, I got a matching Kipling backpack, pencil case, and lunchbox. I picked up my prettiest of clothes and laid out my prettiest of bows as well the Friday night before school started. That first day came around and I felt like I was on a cloud. People came up to me and asked, "Where are you from? Where did you move from? Where are you currently living? And most importantly, what's your first language?" Now, to me, I've never experienced that question because my accent really gave me away and I didn't know what to reply, so proudly I said Spanish. That's cool, I speak 2 languages, didn't think much of it at the time. But that first week didn't last long. That experience where I was on a cloud and I felt like people cared about me lasted no more than a week. As the weeks rolled around, that cloud turned into a thunderstorm, and that's when the bullying began. People began to ask me why I was wearing bows, because apparently wearing bows was for babies. Why I was eating chicken milanese and carne mechada, shredded meat with sazon and tomatoes, instead of eating sandwiches like they did. But most importantly, they began to question my accent. Everything about my accent became a problem. The constant, "What are you saying? I can't understand what you're saying. Why do you sound like that? Why can't you sound like us?" These questions that came both from my teachers and my peers turned into a huge cloud for me. I began to reject my ethnicity, my accent, and most specifically my Venezuelan culture. From that period on, it led me to sit in front of television watching American sitcoms like Friends in order to sound like a true American. For me, the depiction of a true American was Rachel Green. At the same time, it led me to put words into Google Translate and just click the translate button, sit in front of the computer for hours sounding the same way Google Translate did. It led me to beg my mom to wear sweatpants, which to this day she still detests, and even eat sandwiches, which was totally different from the nice home-cooked meals that I used to have before. This experience lasted from my elementary, middle, and high school experience. But college, though, what an exciting thought. Moving away to DC, the nation's capital, in order to learn about the intricacies of our legislative and judicial system in order to effectively advocate for change, not only for minority, but also for immigrant individuals throughout the country. I was excited, not only to go away, as I loved education and I looked forward to this new experience, but also to leave this confused little girl behind, as I didn't know where I stood, how I identified myself, how I categorized myself into American societal values. I wasn't Venezuelan enough because I didn't experience my preteen years there, but I also wasn't American enough because I didn't experience the same cultural identity and even cultural upbringing that many individuals did. It was a weird middle gray area for me. And to this day, I really don't know where I stand. So that's why college was exciting. A lot of people are like, college is where you find yourself, where you look forward and you learn, and because of your education, that's where you find your passions and how to effectively bring change, which I was excited for. But as I soon began college, I began to make friends. And like in South Florida, my home in South Florida, I began to make friends of Hispanic and Latino culture, which was exciting because it felt familiar. But once again, I was the only immigrant, the only individual who had that experience of coming to the United States and being questioned about her ability to speak English, her ability to understand certain words, and most importantly, even questions were being brought up about my current immigration process. Now, I know my friends didn't try to make me feel bad about all my upbringing, but these questions that to them it was just 15 minutes of laughter, to me, impacted me tremendously throughout my first and second year at the university. But this experience didn't extend it past my friend group and into my university community. I had a university employee ask me to not speak Spanish because they weren't able to understand what I was saying. But in reality, what I was doing was sending my mom a voice note how to use Venmo. And as a lot of us know, that's not easy. It's not as easy as it sounds because majority of the time, I don't even know how to use Venmo. It just click, pay, and that's it. But that being said, I began to realize that this is going to be a sad reality for me for a lot of my life. And I began to question once again my upbringing and my culture and my identity, which I thought I had left behind. Now, as I once again stand behind this middle gray area and I found myself questioning my ability to even pronounce certain words or even stand in important rooms where decisions were being made, I felt unconfident and I began to detest myself and everything that I stood for. But it wasn't until my summer going into my sophomore year that I began to realize that not knowing is okay. And what my peers in elementary school used to make me fun of is what makes me who I am. It's what makes my voice powerful and my story move people. It makes my words have power. Now, being a strong, ambitious, determined immigrant female in the United States, or pretty much anywhere in the world, is not easy at all. But what becomes important that I came to realize during that summer is I educated myself, not only politically, socially, and even environmentally, that I began to realize that it's okay, once again, to have this power and have this ambition. I don't have to question myself. And that becomes important because when the idea of where are you really from starts to become extremely monumental throughout many American communities and individuals are asked all over the world, I didn't know what to answer. I wasn't sure if I say, am I Venezuelan or am I American? Where do I fall under this spectrum? But I can actually now say with full-heartedly confident that it is okay to be American and something else. For me, it is okay to be Venezuelan and American. And to this day, I can proudly say that I'm a proud half Venezuelan and half American.